All right, Julius, this is exciting because it's Los Angeles, California, United States of America to Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. What more could you ask for? Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me to your channel, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, so am
And
I. This should be pretty um informative, I think, to our audience and pretty refreshing to our audience too, to have a young leader like yourselves, in what you're doing and sharing your thoughts and insights. So best way to get started, as I usually say, is if you could briefly introduce yourself. We'll get into the business stuff in a minute, but who is Julius? Where you from originally? What a little bit about maybe your family, anything you've never told anybody in the world that you want to tell somebody now, that's always exciting. So tell us about you.
I'm 17, and I originally am from Switzerland. I grew up in a small place called Gstaad. It's a very small place, but it has a lot of very, very well-known people living there. And I was fortunate enough to grow up there and have my connections down there as well. And then we moved to area of Liechtenstein.
Hmm.
And since then, been living here since 8 years. And recently I went to Saudi Arabia together with my father.
Yeah, pretty interesting. And you say we meaning family. I know you're not married with kids yet.
So yeah, my family and I went to Liechtenstein, and together with my father, I just went to Riyadh.
Cool. That was a little Canadian humor there where I said, I know you're not married with kids yet. Um, so we have a dry sense of humor in Canada, so you gotta work with me a little bit. So so growing up, you're still 17, but what were you like as a kid? Were you organizing other kids? Were you doing, I don't know if you do it there, were you doing lemonade stand to make money? Were you playing sports, music? What were you like?
So when I was younger, I really liked exploring new gadgets and technologies, and my father is the same, and he gave me new iPhones and iPads. But I got addicted to social media quite early, and I was a joiner, not a creator. So that made things even worse.
Right.
And these apps made me spend a lot of time online and made me fall into a rabbit hole of loneliness, to be honest. And then it dawned on me that if I wouldn't change my habits, I would end up addicted. But fortunately enough, I always really love doing things with my friends. Growing up in Switzerland, I used to be a lot in the woods with
Right.
my friends, and in kindergarten, we always used to do a lot of things with the children. And also when I was growing up, I did a lot of things because I would often motivate my friends to go outside with me to do sport activities with me. But after some time, we all went back home together and started playing video games and watching videos on YouTube. And then I realized there was a huge problem in my generation.
Yeah, interesting. They're really quick. We just saw this experiment, if you will, with seven young girls in grade seven, I think. I'm not sure here in the US. And they took away their phones for a week. They all put their phones in a bag. They took them away for a week. And after a week, they were excited to get their phones back. But interestingly enough, each one of them said they felt lighter, healthier. They felt like they were outside more. They felt like going up and scrolling through Facebook or whatever over all night was boring now, even though they wanted their phones back. They said they slept better, all of that. So I can get what you're saying right there. And it's very easy, to get addicted to it. So um super interesting. Did all your friends find the same thing that you found?
So you could ask my friends and they would say yes, definitely. So they'll agree with me right away because they see it. And my generation is waking up and seeing it as well. So it's a huge change going on right now.
Yeah, especially when you have the chance to go into the woods or go skiing in Switzerland. There's so many things to do outside. It's beautiful. So
Yeah.
why miss out on that? Um, our firm Fifth Element, we were founded on the basis that leaders, their organizations can always do better in every aspect in their business and life when they're doing good at the same time. based on what we're talking about, clearly you were already a leader in that when you were investing all your energy towards people coming together, even as a kid when you were doing that. Were you involved in any casual or formal types of projects or initiatives before you joined Amvlet? We'll get into that in this area. Were you involved in things before that?
Well, that's a good question. So my parents always introduced me to smart minds and talents from a young age, and I was always surrounded by gifted individuals, right? So I realized my strength lies in making new friends and connecting the dots with the right people. And I wasn't really doing some things like Amlet before, but I always made my friends do things with me, if you can understand that.
I do, I do.
So, after finishing school, I noticed the next generation is struggling to build connections because we never learned to do so. And with the rise of technology and social media, face-to-face interactions became rare. Seeing this, I decided to make a new unicorn, aiming to
You
help
called it
people navigate through
a
the,
soonicorn, you call it.
yes, a soon-to-be unicorn, to help people navigate through the modern life where a time for networking can be challenged. So my goal is to encourage the next generation to prioritize in-person meetings, as these really often lead to deeper and more meaningful connections compared to virtual friendships.
Yeah, very, very cool. I think the world just heard the first soonicorn happen, which is awesome. So at what age
Yeah.
then did you join Amvlet, and how are you envisioning your future? I mean, still at a very young age, considering you're only 17 right now.
So yes, Mark, I'm 17, but when I was 14, I already decided to build a new platform to live a much happier and fulfilled life because I saw that in our generation, we never learned to approach new people in real life because today is everything digital, right? I'm sure you have seen other people in public transport glued to the phone and headphones in their head and not talking to each other anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was chatting with this other lady from Riyadh this morning. I mentioned to you and about mental health and everything and how, babies can only see so far when they're first born and they see their mom close and their dad close. And I was sharing that I saw when I was at the beach here walking and with somebody else, and we saw this family walking, and this boy was looking at his dad, looking at his dad, looking at his dad, and dad was on the phone the whole time walking, and it was like ridiculous. You're at the beach, and then your son keeps looking at you. So I think you're right on. So with that said, share then how your experiences at Amvlet brought you to creating SCOVR. And am I pronouncing it right, SCOVR?
So it's pronounced Scover.
SCOVR, okay.
Yes.
And let's start with, I got a bunch of questions on this part. Let's start with how and why it came about, including the name.
So, well, that's a good question. So the term Scover is derived from the word discover, and it's used with individuals to express their intention and to understand what's happening nearby. Just as people say, I'll Google it when seeking information, our users can say, I'll Scover it, or I'll Scover what's going on in my proximity. Our trademark Scover represents the following few quotes. So S stands for security. So when we talk to our users, especially the female users, said they want security.
Sure.
C stands for creativeness. O stands for openness. V stands for visionary, and R stands for religion, for reality. So, like, imagine you have no security on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, or WhatsApp, and you can ask female friends between 18 and 25 in your network, and they can confirm that they have received or are receiving explicit content from strange people every day.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. In fact, I had two women executives just this last week talk to me about how their LinkedIn accounts were even hacked into and different things going on there. So this is going to lead to, instead of me saying let's Google it, I'm gonna discover it.
Like to find new people to meet up with, to find new friends. Yes.
I love the challenge to Google. That's awesome. So let's another question on this. Why KSA? Why the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? And tell us what the mission is and both the economic and the social impact that you're looking to make.
So we went to Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in March, and at this time we already had 26 investors and some money in funding. But when we went to Riyadh to make new friends, it felt like being in the new Silicon Oasis. We were so impressed by the size and speed of the development, and the investors immediately fell in love with SCOVR. So I took the opportunity because Saudi Arabia has a very, very young population, and it makes it for the best country to launch and scale globally, especially when you want to make an impact with a new platform. I want the right people behind me. Luckily, I'm not alone. Our team has around 60 people. Not all
Wow,
of them are full-time, but I'm very proud to say that we found the most talented people who want to leave a land on this planet.
that's fantastic. And you didn't even use an executive search firm like us to find the people. You're gonna have when you get your whole management team going and whatnot, that's when you're gonna have to come to us, hopefully, and say, we need help to find the best people.
Yeah.
Little publicity there. So what is your overall economic plan to make money? And it sounds obvious now what the social impact could be for sure, but what's the business plan? What's the business model to make money?
So we have some business models. I'll just explain the two easiest.
Hmm.
So first of all, freemium. So there's the basic version of the app, and then there's the paid one to have more connections per day to. I'll not get too deep into that.
Hmm.
And then we have B2B because we talk to schools, universities, small businesses, brands, sports clubs, and big companies because they all want to have the school wants to have their students and the university wants to have the students and alumni so the alumni can be connected and the big companies just to have their experts connected because they want to have them be as happy as possible, right? So yeah,
Would
they know them.
will there be like specific groups that only they can be into and no one else? That sort of
Yes,
thing?
yes, in the company or in the sports club or the network.
Okay, super cool. Is this I know you're starting in KSA, is it in the plans to then take it beyond?
Oh yes, definitely, definitely.
Cool. So is there an age limit?
No, just it starts from 16.
Okay, so
So
someone
yeah,
even as old as me can get on it, huh?
of course. We'll
Good.
connect you with people in your age.
My age, good, thanks. Don't say what you think that is, okay?
I'd
That
say
sounds
35.
not very good. It was right on the money. I'll give you the $10 later that I owe you for that. Um, so I always found this interesting. The fourth industrial revolution, they say, is about technology, AI, virtual reality, etc., things like that. But they also say the fifth is about humanity. And I see you falling smack into being able to support that definition. In our firm, we focus on how making an impact and having talent come together and having the right talent sustains the impact, economic and social, you want to make. So, with all that said, there's so much going on, with AI, social media, as you say, the pressures, the peer pressures, the misinformation, there's conflict, there's loneliness, there's enough stuff to talk about that's, so many voices aren't being heard, especially women and minorities, even still. What do you find with your interactions with young people and how it's going to play out on SCOVR? What are the perspectives, the attitudes, the discussions you're having with young people that come from different diverse backgrounds and cultures about what is going on?
So first of all, the fourth industrial revolution is characterized by the integrations of digital, physical, and biological systems, and it's encompassed by technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics, nanotechnology, computing, and Internet of Things, right? So this revolution has potentially to create true global society with profound impacts as various aspects in our life. But the fifth industrial revolution built upon the fourth, which takes a different direction. It describes the movement between service and of humanity delivering technology and innovation, right? Unlike trends in the fourth industrial revolution, which are perceived as towards dehumanization, the fifth revolution aims to integrate human and machines in a way that they enhance humanity. So I talked to a lot of people in the last couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
and they, first of all, they were scared of AI when it came out, right?
Sure.
So I heard a lot, but I think now the people understand it more and more, the new technologies, and are integrating them to their life to have a better life, to work upon it, you could say.
Yeah, that's brilliant. When I was younger and new technology was coming in from even the internet. I know that's hard for you to believe, but even the internet and everything coming on, there was the same arguments all the time about, what are the bad things about it? And it was going to take away so many jobs and this and that. You hear the same discussions a little bit now. I actually think stuff that like you're doing and others, will actually be the biggest turning point, the biggest inflection where we as humans can actually not be stuck doing boring jobs or jobs that are manual or reports or whatnot, but actually maybe be even more creative, more involved in nature, more engaged outside while all the other stuff, if you will, is handled by AI and technology. And that's where I think you have a really good differentiation with your mission being to create more in person interaction. So I congratulate you on that. And does that all make you feel even more determined to be successful in what you're doing, get employees more engaged, people more engaged in community, things like that? And because one thing I'll add is, I don't know if you ever heard of blue zones, but blue zones are where people have lived longer, are happier, and they just studied why. And one of the biggest things that caused that was they felt that they belonged in something. Um,
Yes.
what's your thoughts on that speech I just made?
So with the blue zones, that's really, really right. So the blue zones are mainly out of people that you can trust, friends, family. These are like the most important things in your life. These deep, meaningful connections in your life.
Right.
And what we can find on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and WhatsApp today is misinformation, hate speech, and peer pressure. And the biggest problem that we're facing right now, the next generation wants to become rich and famous on social media. On average, people between the age of 16 and 35 spend 13 hours per day staring at their screen. And the more time we spend on social media, the more we feel lonely and struggle to build deep, meaningful connections.
Right.
And last year, there was a study by US Surgeon General Dr. Vivek, and he declared national loneliness and isolation epidemic throughout the country,
You're right.
which leads to the number one problem in Gen Z in year 2024. He warned about half of the US adults are experiencing considerable levels of loneliness, which can affect physical, mental, and social health, and which is a huge problem.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. I remember him talking about that, and loneliness is a big deal. We're doing a lot of work in mental health, and it's crazy. Which
Yeah.
I guess crazy is probably not the right word to use with mental health, but it is crazy. And
Yeah,
so it's a big deal. And the more people that become afraid of social contact, almost the worse it gets because they become afraid to have social contact and so on. So I can see how it makes even your purpose, your passion even more exciting for you to impact that.
yeah, definitely. And UK has even UK has their own ministry for loneliness, which is it's a sign. I think people are waking up So Instagram Meta was taken to court in the US and even Europe. So there's a change coming,
Yeah,
definitely.
especially when you have a minister of loneliness, you know that must be real. And when the Surgeon General says this is real, no, it's fascinating. And we have a joke in LA saying that we have to leave people wanting more so we can do a sequel, like a movie. So we may have to do a sequel on this, but I have one last question in this part for you. Um, One person told me, a client told me in 2021, they said to me, the year 2020, pandemic effectively, was the year that flew by slowly. And I always found that like a fascinating statement, but it's kind of true because a lot of times we feel like the pandemic was yesterday, and we also feel like it was years ago at the same time. Um, with all that said, and we're already way into 2024, share with us what you're most grateful for and also what you're most hopeful for.
So Mark, I'm definitely grateful for being able to work alongside my dad, which has been a massive supporter of me. For
Well,
me, it's a huge honor you cannot imagine. And I remember in 2022, I was in school wearing a mask, or I was glued to my screen in front of a Zoom call. And that made the situation way worse, right? And I'm really, really hopeful for 2025 to be a great year of pleasure, joy, and hopefully the change that people meet in real life through SCOVR. And yeah, I'm really, really grateful to work alongside with my dad. It's one of my biggest dreams come true, and I really enjoy it.
No, thanks for sharing that. I'm grateful to now have a new friend named Julius. And I'm also
Likewise,
grateful that
likewise.
you are a leader who cares, and you're going to make an impact in the world. And that's what I'm also hopeful for at the same time. And leaders who care is not some fluffy statement. Is if we all care a little bit more, then a lot of good things will happen from it. So thanks for leading the way, and thanks for being on the series.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very honored, and thanks.
My pleasure.